got a DeLorean. It's true. Now, I got to tell you, I got to ride in that car, and it is fast. It's a fast car. But the only thing moving faster than that DeLorean is the world around us. The legal industry specifically. We're going to talk about that and where we go into the future. But before we look to what's next, let's talk about where we've been. So I want to dive right into this. And this is going to be very, very active. I'm going to need your participation. I want all of you right now to think of one word that defined 2022, last year. And I want you to put this in the context of Fennemore. One word that defined 2022. Now, to those who've been to our retreats before, you know we love to have a good time, and we use these. We don't use regular microphones. This is a catch box. This is a mic. You put it up to your mouth, you speak into it, and we can all hear you, and you can throw it around. So we're going to do that right now. Think of your one word. It's coming into the audience, and then what I want you to do is pass it to another person. We're going to get 3 or 4 of these in, and then when you're done, kick the mic off to the side, and a marketing member will get it. You ready? Are you ready? I'm going deep. 1, 2, 3. No injuries. Oh my gosh.
That was a one-handed catch.
Here we go. Matt Nelson.
Yes.
One word. Come on, let's hear it.
Assimilated.
Okay, assimilate. Before, assimilate. Oh, this is going to be one of those days, huh?
Expansive.
All right, before you pass it, I want you to introduce your, oh, it's already passed. Matt is gone. That's Matt Nelson, San Bernardino office, everyone. Okay, where's the mic? Where's the mic? Who's got it? Hand up, someone who's, all right, stand up. I'm blinded by the lights. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Miguel Saldana from the Oakland office.
All right, Miguel.
It actually landed on Daniel Arana, but he handed it to me. My word would be merger.
Emerging?
Merger.
Oh, merger. Okay, emerging and a merger. Very good. I like it. Assimilate, merger. Throw it around. Here we go. We're meeting people. Oh my, don't break that chandelier. Miguel, that chandelier is a registered historical item. Please. Cost us another $500,000 for it. Who's got it?
Yay.
Oh my goodness. Jay Kramer. All right. God, I'm just leaving right now. All right. Jay, tell everyone what you do and what office you're in.
I'm in the Phoenix office. I'm a real estate lawyer.
Okay. What's your word, Jay?
Energy.
Energy. I like that. All right. Jay delivers. One more. Give it a good toss, Jay. Thank you. Other side. Here we go. All right. Name?
Bob Comer, Denver. Markets.
Marcus.
Markets.
Markets. Markets. Okay.
Thing,
like Marcus.
That's your new name, James.
I know. This is going to be a long one. All right. Give it up for everyone. Mics to the side. All right. These were great answers, all of them. One word, though, that I think embodies everything you just heard, I'm going to give you another one. Change. Right? We've seen lots and lots of change, and it's going at almost a breakneck pace. We're going to talk about what this means and how we got there, but I want to just pause for a second and recognize some success we've had. For those of you who came to our all-hands meeting where we had 300 people online, we actually maxed out the Zoom account, so not all of you saw it. Some of you joined since then. So I'm going to go over the end result right now because it's so good. For the second year in a row, I am very pleased to announce that in 2022, Fennemore was the #1 fastest growing law firm in the United States, #1 for retention in our markets, and #1 for job satisfaction. And that is a credit to all of you. Give yourselves a round of applause. But getting there isn't always easy. It's not always unicorns, rainbows, and butterflies. There can be some challenges involved. And I'm sure at some step in the journey, you probably felt like this guy on the screen here. Does anyone know who this is? I heard a Harry Potter. Ed Sheeran. It's Ed Sheeran. No, that's not Ed Sheeran. One more. Who knows it? Ron Weasley, Rupert Grint, both correct. For anyone who's ever seen Harry Potter, and my whole life, by the way, revolves around this. I've got an 8 and 9-year-old, so they love Harry Potter. This is Ron Weasley, and he's crying. Now, in this case, Ron isn't crying because of business change or mergers. He's crying because he did not release his time daily, and he just got off the phone with Dave Bassick. Don't let that be you. How do we cope with change? Is it something that we can manage? Is it something we can do away with? The book on your screen, Build for Tomorrow. You got a copy of that in the boxes that were delivered to your rooms. It's a great book, and in fact, you heard that we're going to have the author of that book, Jason Pfeiffer, in our next segment doing a Q&A. Because most of you probably haven't read the book, I want to give you a preview of it, of what you're going to read, and then that will set up Jason's conversation. And what you're going to find in the book is that Jason talks a lot about the brain, the human brain. How do we cope with this concept of change? Well, turns out that in most cases we have one reaction. This right here. This is our friend, and I'm going to call him Peter Panic. Peter Panic. And he's going to be moving with us throughout today's presentation. We don't like change. We're not comfortable with it. The question I have, though, is how deeply embedded in us is this fear of change? Is it something that we can brush away? Is there some psychological Star Wars trick we can do to stop it? Well, let's go back in time, and we want to try and answer this question. And the other point I want us to think about is our reaction to change tied to the magnitude of that change? Meaning, do we freak out about little things, or is it only the big things? Jason, in his book, goes through these examples, and we're going to start right here. In 1877, that was the year that the phonograph was invented, like a record player. Now, this phonograph that you see on your screen was invented by Thomas Edison, actually only about 45 minutes away from here in Menlo Park. Now, you would think this is a great technological advancement, right? You don't need to have live musicians anymore. You can listen to music whenever you want. Certainly people wouldn't freak out about this, right? But they did. How could anyone freak out about a phonograph? Check this out. This was written about it. Brooklyn Daily Eagle. Does not frequent use of the phonograph produce inattention in the hearer? The phonograph will make you dumb. Check this out. By John Philip Sousa, a great American, wrote The Stars and Stripes Forever. What did he say about the phonograph? Will a mother put her baby to slumber with sweet lullabies, or will the infant be put to sleep by machinery? If children hear only phonographs, will they not sing, if they sing at all, in imitation, and become simply human phonographs without soul or expression? Holy smokes. Your beautiful little baby listens to a phonograph and will turn into a cold-blooded killer. No soul. 1902. Automobile hits the road. This is great, right? We can visit our friends, our relatives, travel across the country faster than ever. Don't have to keep a horse in the back. Certainly people would have just embraced this, right? No, they didn't. Peter Panic comes up. This is pretty interesting. When the first owners of these horseless carriages hit the road, people would yell at them. They'd call them devil wagons. They'd say, get a horse. Some people took it a step further and would throw rocks at them, and there were angry mobs that would overturn the cars. This got so bad that people started putting guns on their horseless carriages just so they could get to their destination. Familiar, familiar, familiar. We fear change. 1942. Pinball machines. What's not to love about good, clean fun from a pinball machine, right? What could be scary about this? Well, Peter Panic found something about a pinball machine that's pretty scary. According to the parents of the world, if your kids play pinball machines, they will turn into juvenile delinquents. They will get arrested and probably go to prison for the rest of their lives. Politicians get a hold of this, and of course, they enact regulation and legislation to ban pinball machines, but not without getting their photo ops first, with those sledgehammers, cracking them, throwing them into the river. Familiar, familiar, familiar. We fear change. Certainly, we've evolved as a society, though, right? We've gotten to the point now where we don't have those reactions. Well, you all saw 2 weeks ago a little demonstration of our friend ChatGPT. I've got to admit, I don't know how you felt, but I felt a little bit like Peter Panic myself, seeing how it's basically doing a lot of the things that we can do. And it's probably going to come as no surprise to you that since our meeting, we've already had multiple legal companies that have said they're going to utilize that technology to do the first draft of pleadings, of motions, of contracts. This is happening, and it's happening quickly. It's probably not a surprise then that we've had calls already to ban ChatGPT and to regulate it. We don't know what's going to happen, but it will probably lead to the apocalypse, so we got to get rid of it. Familiar, familiar, familiar. We fear change. Okay, we understand this happens, but now let's go deeper into the rabbit hole to understand, how do we stop this? How deeply embedded in our DNA is it? Well, it turns out pretty deeply embedded. If you go back and look to ancient times under the biological hypothesis, part of the reason we fear change is because when we were cavemen and cavewomen and we wanted to go to new tribes or hang out in a new cave somewhere, if we did that, odds are we'd be eaten by a giant bear, a lion, or some sort of terrible creature that would tear us apart. So we learned very quickly, change is bad. There's also what I would just call the rose-colored glasses effect. There are fancy names for it, the fading affect bias. But really what this says is, look, bring back the good old days. She's ready for the 80s party, by the way. Academics have looked at this, and it turns out that every generation has said that the past generation was a better one. And this goes all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia. And we know objectively that couldn't be true, right? Back then, people were living into their 30s, more animals coming after them, yet we have this preference for the familiar. Next reason. This one's going to be a little more interactive. I want to do a little experiment in front of all of you. Now, for the sake of time, we had our marketing team select a few volunteers who were voluntold that they're coming on stage. Introduce yourselves, please, who you are, what you do, office you're in.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mario Vasta in the Phoenix office. I do business litigation with an emphasis on trademarks and water rights.
All right. Moving on down.
I'm Heidi Imsand. I'm in the Oakland office in the Trust and Estates group.
Hi, I'm Rich Streitzer. I'm in the Las Vegas office, and I do labor and employment and general commercial lit.
John McHugh, Denver office, business litigation. I'm the managing partner of the office.
Therese Shanks, Reno office, appellate litigation and business litigation.
All right, now I know everyone's nervous. For those of you who don't know, John McHugh last year came on stage dressed as Darth Vader. Did a good job, too. All right, here's what we're going to do, visual perception test. What I'd like you all to do is just look at your screen, the large portion of this screen here, what everyone's seeing in the audience. And all I want you to do is you look at this line, Exhibit 1. I will then show you 3 different lines, and your job is simply to say which line is the same length as the one in Exhibit 1. Is it A, B, or C? Understand? Simple enough? Okay, let's get started. Mario, we're going to begin with you. You've got the mic. Which line is the same as Exhibit 1? Is it A, B, or C?
You're asking me this when lights are shining right in my eye, so thank you for
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Don't tell my optometrist. A.
A. All right. Heidi.
A.
A?
A.
I mean, A and B look the same to me.
Okay. A and B, a little contrarian here. You have to pick one, A or B. You can't say A, B, and look the same. Oh, go give her the mic back. You got to pick one.
I'll go A.
A. Okay. And make sure you got that mic right up tight. Okay, here we go. Moving on. Exhibit 2. Is it A, B, or C, Mario?
B.
B.
B. Yeah, B.
B.
She's looking a little uncomfortable. Okay. Here we go. Exhibit 3. Last one. A, B, or C? Mario.
C.
Definitely C.
Clearly C.
Absolutely C.
Oh my God. I see what's going on. I see what's going on here. Well, at least I'm not.
What is
being-
it, Therese?
It's probably A, but
A. I don't know. I did. Okay. All right. I want the 4 of you off the stage. Therese, you're staying. All right. You got me. You got me. Those were not truthful answers we had on the screen. Maybe George Santos' truth, but okay. Therese, how did you feel as you were looking at this and people started saying answers that were different than was in your mind?
well, as my husband will tell you, I have terrible visual perception. So I was like, well, I mean, maybe. But
All right.
yeah, by the end, it was pretty obvious.
All right. So did you think in your mind, like, when you had that moment, like, what do I say? Because you gave us the same answer as the other people 2 times. Like, were you like, I'm on stage? What's going through your mind at that point?
Well, I thought, I don't know. I thought maybe they were correct because the A and B did look the same to me. And you told me I had to pick one, so I just picked the one that everyone else picked.
All right. Well, here's my request. Don't quit and don't hate me. Everyone, give it up for Therese. We got a little something for you to say thank you. You can take that over.
Stay or should I go now? Should I stay?
I lose a lot of friends through these things. It happens. What does this ASH experiment show us? What it shows us is that whether we're in a clinical experiment or whether we're in the business world, we don't like being outliers. Makes us uncomfortable, right? We don't want to deviate too far from the pack. It makes us question our own judgment, and we feel uncomfortable if we're the ones standing here. But if we're going to succeed and we're going to lead the pack, by definition, we have to do things that other firms and other practices are not. And that's going to lead to discomfort among all of us. The first question I always get when we have a new initiative is, how many other firms are doing it? How many other firms are doing it? Well, oftentimes we will do the same thing, but we need to do other types of things, and it will make us uncomfortable. Well, what do we do about this? We've established this fear of change exists. We established it happens with big and small matters, and we've established that it's really hard to shake. Are there strategies? Well, yes, there are. In Build for Tomorrow, you're going to read about one of these strategies called the Bridge of Familiarity. The Bridge of Familiarity. What is it? At its core, it says, we are not what we do, we are why we do it. We are not what we do, we are why we do it. Now, that may sound familiar to some of you. Our first firm book, almost 5 years ago now, was Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and that was a theme that cut through that book. We're going to take that to the next level now, and we're going to do it with a bit of an experiment. But before we do, I want to just give you the underpinnings of this theory. And basically what it says is when you look at actual tasks and the activities that we engage in, they may seem very different. But if you look at the underlying motivation, that's familiar, and we like familiar. Let's put it to the test. You all are going to partner up with someone, pick someone next to you, and I want it to be, if possible, someone you don't know. Someone you haven't worked with. So look around, pick someone, and you're going to take turns. You're going to take turns asking a question. Don't jump into it yet. I'm glad you're excited. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Let's dim the lights, please. Everyone, you don't even know what you're doing. Oh my gosh. You don't even know what you're doing and you're off to the races. Hold on. You're gonna ask a question, and the last person talking here is gonna be the first volunteer on stage. That'll get you. Okay. You're gonna ask a question. What do you do? And you're gonna ask that question to your partner 3 times. Each time, if you're being asked the question, you have to answer with a different response. Can't say the same thing. And I want you to focus on, in the first one, tasks, skills, and then what fuels you. Before you go, I'm gonna give you an example, because lawyers love examples. I want Cheryl Mostrom Cecil, Chief People Officer, to come on down, and we're gonna do this live.
I'm feeling good from my head to my shoes. Know where I'm going and
All right,
I know
hey
what
Cheryl.
to do.
All right, introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cheryl Mostrom Cecil. Boy, those lights are bright. I'm the Chief People Officer here at the firm. I have the privilege of working with you all amazing people on people operations, human resources, pretty much anything related to people falls in my purview.
All right, Cheryl, first, take that mic, set it on your chin so everyone can hear you. Okay,
Gotcha. Better?
I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. First, Cheryl, what do you do?
What do I do? Well, let's see. We hire, onboard, work on compensation, work on benefits, work on HR issues. Some of you have brought to me all kinds of things.
Yeah, we won't get into those HR issues. But Cheryl, what do you do?
Let's see. I take my knowledge of business fundamentals and behavioral science and a little bit of psychology in order to serve the firm and the employees.
Okay, great. So we have tasks, we have skills. Finally, Cheryl, what do you do?
What do I do? So, what brings me joy is when I get to help employees develop professionally and personally and help them thrive at the firm and reach their career potential at Fennemore.
All right, everyone, give it up for Cheryl.
I'm feeling good from my head to my shoes. Know where I'm going and I know what to do.
All right, now it's time to partner up. And you really have to do this because I'm coming to you and I will find you if you don't. So here we go. You're going to have 4 minutes, 2 minutes each. What do you do 3 times? Go. Did you all get to know people in a new way? Yeah? Did you get to know people? All right, well, let's find out. Victim number 1. I started on this side. I'm coming over here. I'm completely blinded, so I'm just going to lob this up. I don't want anyone to lose an eye, so here we go. Oh my God. The only person not looking. Let that be a lesson to you. Exactly. They were talking. I found you.
I was having so much fun talking to Chris.
All right. Okay. First of all, stand up. I want you to take that mic, put it right on your chin so we can hear you. Please introduce yourself.
So I'm Susan Rosenfield from the Phoenix office. I'm an intellectual property lawyer. I'm chairperson of the IP group. And I guess I'm also chairperson of the Pro Bono committee.
All right. And this time we're going to get even closer. Okay.
Okay.
How did you respond to these 3 questions with that mic on your chin? How did you do it?
So for the first question, I was a little flippant about, well, I push paper around and I sometimes tell people what to do.
Let's get our handheld. We can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
We can't hear you.
Am I not? Wait, how about this?
No, you failed the test. That was our second experiment.
Somewhere.
There we go. That was unexpected. All right. Okay, let's keep rolling. Okay, continue, Susan.
Okay, do you want me to do number 2?
Number 2.
Okay, so number 2 for skills, I help clients figure out what are their intellectual property problems, how to solve them. I figure out how to prevent them from having problems. I write contracts for them. I negotiate contracts. I negotiate settlements for them. I protect their patents, their trademarks, their copyrights.
Very comprehensive answer. I like it. Okay, finally, question 3. What do you do, Susan?
So, what I do, what fuels me is helping clients to get their business as far ahead as they possibly can to make things easier for their business so they can focus on their business. And then on the pro bono side, it's basically helping everybody else do good in the world by being able to provide their legal services to people who are in need in organizations that serve people in need.
Great answer. Give it up for Susan. Now, Susan, I want you to take that handheld and just chuck it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to throw this so we have a random volunteer, but we're going to get a handheld to you too. So this is how you're selected. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Oh, geez. Jay Kramer and Doug Northup in the same session? You're kidding me. Okay. All right. Get him a handheld. Doug, please introduce yourself.
I'm Doug Northup. I'm talking to Steve and Kramer. We realize we are the old guys here now. So I'm a business litigator with some emphasis on kind of high-stakes tort defense, and I've been doing that for 31 years or so. Now, as to your question, I have a problem because you can ask Megan.
I knew this was going to happen.
I gave answers, did I not? I have no recollection what my answer was. I mean, I just kind of made it up because I didn't think I was going to get called on. I mean, what are the odds of this happening? So I'll try again, but it's probably not going to be what I said before.
Give it to us. That's fine.
So what I said is I evaluate, take in, ultimately determine strategy on complex litigation cases. Mm-hmm. In terms of skills, I manage teams of lawyers, fortunately, who are doing most of the day-to-day work on my cases, and that way we do have a reasonable success rate. But I oversee those teams, and then ultimately am responsible for taking those cases through conclusion, sometimes at trial.
Sometimes. A lot of trials there for Doug. Okay, question 2. What do you do? Skills.
That was 2. That was
2.
I went from 1 right into 2.
Oh, 1. Okay, right into 2. Okay.
So we're on 3
That's
now.
a litigator's trick.
Yeah.
All right. 3. This
3
is the biggie.
is I help my clients achieve success by either avoiding litigation, managing the risks of litigation, or when necessary, concluding it in an economically successful manner.
Great answer. Give it up for Doug. Last victim. Last victim. All right, everyone's looking away. That makes me just want to come to you. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hi, Lob. Oh my gosh. Stand on up, please. Let's get a handheld over here. Introduce yourself, please. We'll get that mic on, Don, in the back. There we go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Trish Milburn. We are a VIP from the Sacramento office.
All right, from the Wagner Firm, one of our VIPs. You come to these, you never know what's going to happen, so here we go.
All right.
All right, so question 1. Trish, give us your answer.
For tasks, I have the title of practice coordinator. So what that means to me is I help the flow of the firm so that my partners and staff can perform their jobs to the best of their abilities.
Very good. Question 2.
Skills are people. I talk to people. I need to observe people. Same like you were talking psychologically. I need to know what's going on with them both personally and professionally so that I can help them do their job to the best of their ability.
Very good. Question 3. What do you do?
See their success. When I can see us thrive, both with our clients and with them, that means the world to me. That means that I have done my job when I see them doing their job.
You just crushed it. Put everyone to shame. Well done. Not even with the firm, and look at that. Killed it. All right, why are we talking about the bridge of familiarity? Remember, it's that underlying motivation that can be the bridge. Let's see it in action. Maybe when you think about communication, something we talk about a lot and do as lawyers, you may think of writing a letter to someone with a pen, and you say, well, that's gone. Everyone's on their phones. They're just texting. Heads are buried in them constantly. And you may say, communication is dead. It's dead. But the bridge of familiarity says, we are not what we do. We are why we do it. So, if you look at that letter, the purpose is to convey information, to build relationships, to send a note, a heartfelt note to somebody. And that's exactly what, folks, sometimes, do on their phones as well, besides send emojis, right? There's an underlying purpose of that, and it's the same to connect with people. Let's look at another example here. When you think of community, maybe you think of Cleaverville on the left side of the screen, and then you look at it today, people in VR headsets, what are they doing? You say community is dead. There's no community. But if you think about this more, the reason people get together like we're doing now may be the same reason that Mr. Zuckerberg puts on those $10 billion VR glasses and talks to avatars. It's to build community. Maybe tanking Meta, but that's his way of doing it. We are not what we do, we are why we do it. But let's make this a little more concrete. Let's talk about Fennemore. When you leave today and you come back in, you are going to have sitting on your seats copies of our 2023 strategic plan. Now, this plan builds on what we had last year. A lot of the same pillars exist. And for those who weren't with the firm or those who forgot, they're on the screen. The pillars of Fennemore in our strategic plan are discipline, positioning, and agility. And we have 7 supporting strategies to get there, ranging from business fundamentals to focusing on analytics to diversity, equity, and inclusion. But cutting across all of these is a mantra. Sense, seek, seize. Sense, seek, seize. We sense what's happening in the marketplace. We seek out opportunities, and when we find the right ones, we grab them. When people ask me, how have we grown in the way that we have over the last 2 years, I come back to this. We sensed a change in the marketplace, a need for consolidation, a need to take on all the competitors in the world. We actively sought out the best opportunities, and when we found them, we seized them. Here's how we're going to do it now. I want you to look at your screen. What you see is Fennemore 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago. 6 offices, 3 states. We know what's happened over the last 2.5 years. We've taken over California. 9 offices up and down the state. Now, you may say, this is a lot of change. I can't even imagine more change in a law firm than what's on this screen. Well, if you're saying that, brace yourself. Because this is not Fennemore. What does Fennemore actually look like? It's this. You may not know it, but Fennemore currently has lawyers and legal professionals in 40 cities around the United States. 40 cities. These are people who are in offices and decided they wanted to move somewhere and work remotely full-time. They're also people that we found, talented legal professionals that have the cultural compatibility we look for, the economic compatibility and the practice compatibility. And they're helping us advance our goals and our clients' goals. But I can see, I know what you're thinking right now. You're like, holy, you know what right now? This is Fennemore? It changes how we think about the firm, doesn't it? How are we going to take all of these employees around the country, and how are we going to have that glue, that culture? How do we tie this all together? We need to do it in a systematic way. And we're going to do that. You'll see reference in the strategic plan to a new initiative we are launching right now called Fennemore Cloud. It's a working name. We may change it. What this says is we're going to take all of those employees that we have in different markets, and we're going to make sure they feel valued, that they're integrated, that they're part of the team in the same way that those who grew up in brick and mortar offices are. We don't want anyone falling through the cracks. It's critical that we do this because all that growth in different cities has happened organically. That wasn't by some deliberate design. But let's take it a step further. We see there's opportunity there. So we want to find the best people, again, that fit with our strategic goals that may not be in locations where we have physical offices. This doesn't mean we're going to be a virtual firm. We're not. But it does mean we're going to look for the best professionals wherever they are. Now, we have a lot of people working on this, including our C team, management committee, but we have a new face among you who's actually not in a location where we have an office, and he's going to help us with this initiative. I want to very briefly introduce Billy Greenlee. Billy, right up front. Hand her the mic, stand up, introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I am just getting back. My family and I are just moving back here from Asia, where we were for about 15 years, actually. We live in the South Bay, Los Gatos, so I will occasionally, I think, be going to the Oakland office. But I'm very excited. First off, very impressed with all of you. This firm is already amazing. Everyone I've met, very competent and very cool. I've really enjoyed actually meeting many of you already. So yeah, I'm excited also to help with the cloud initiative. I think it's going to be really a cool thing that I think will possibly, likely produce a lot of revenue. I think it's the future, actually. So anyways, pleasure to be here. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Welcome, Billy. You can give it right there to Lindsay. There are a couple firms that have worked on these strategically, these initiatives, and they're bringing in a lot of revenue and a lot of profit. Think about it. You add new lawyers without all of the costs, and that's good. As long as you keep that strategic fit right, that's where the magic is. We talked about AI. Where's that going? We're all freaking out about it. What do we do? How do we handle this? How do we succeed in this world with all of the change? We're taking this head on too. Second initiative we're announcing today, Fennemore Labs, where people around you are thinking about these issues. How do we take defensive measures where we need to? But more importantly, how do we take proactive steps to get in front of other firms and other competitors? Helping us lead this initiative out of our Boston office, David McCarville. Let's get him a mic. Give us 2 minutes on it, David.
Good morning, everybody. I'm fired up about this Fennemore Labs opportunity. First of all, how many of you have Gen Zer in your life? Anybody? Have you ever tried to call a Gen Zer? Like, this is an assault. You want to text them first, tell them you're going to call them, and then call them. So this is one of the challenges that we face as a law firm. It's demographics, right? People are communicating in different ways. We need to learn how to package and deliver legal services in different ways as well. Another challenge we have is the rules are changing. Growing up in Arizona in an Irish Catholic family, we'd go back to Iowa to see our cousins back there. Invariably, we'd get into competitions, and invariably it'd result in disputes and fights about what the rules were. Like, what are the proper rules to this card game or to this football game? Apparently, I'm not allowed to tackle everybody every play. They frowned on that, and my sister explained to me that you can only tackle the person with the ball. So these rule changes, though, we started to call them Arizona rules, and we would tell our cousins, hey, we're playing Arizona rules right now. And Arizona rules are a real thing for us because Arizona adopted a change to Ethics Rule 5.4. Now you can have an alternative business structure in Arizona that combines technology providers with lawyers, and that gives them a strategic advantage. They can share in ownership, control, equity, profit with non-lawyers, and they are burgeoning. This follows Utah and Washington, D.C., and the United Kingdom have had this. So the rules have changed to our game, at least in Arizona, and we expect that to roll out across the country. So the rules are going to be changing across the country. The other thing is, have you ever played against a player who's just so much better than you at one thing? They're faster, they're more agile, whatever. That's another issue we're challenged with because these technologies like ChatGPT are better than us. They will get it right 100% of the time when it comes to a finite game where the rules are known, where you absolutely have no deviance from these rules. A machine will do it better than a person. What we do better as attorneys is we play an infinite game where we bring human creativity to the table and we help our clients with that. So the opportunities before us with Fennemore Labs are to use all of our tools and use the technology to communicate, package, and deliver legal services in a better way. We can do this here. We have some exciting examples already we're working with. One is a ChatGPT tool that basically translates complex legal terminology into something an 8-year-old can understand. This is groundbreaking. The alternative business structure rule was passed for the purpose of bringing access to justice. Most people cannot afford our services. We serve a very thin layer of society. There are a lot of people who want to use talented legal services like we have to offer. They simply cannot afford it. Technology will give us the ability to deliver that in a way that they can afford it. So there are a lot of opportunities here. I'm super fired up about it. I'd like to just close by asking the members of the Fennemore Labs committee to stand up. I want to make sure I get everybody. Kendall Lavelle is not here, but she likes to code in C++. So if you're in the labs, please stand up. Yep, and we've got Francesca Boyd, we've got Jackson Wace, we've got Shane Parker, Courtney Miller-O'Mara, David Lewandowski, Dean Savino, and Daniel Arana. Thank you all for your time and attention.
We are at a critical juncture in the legal world, and there will be winners and there will be losers. If we don't do what David and all of our lawyers here are working on right now, we could end up irrelevant. It's critical that we focus on this. I'm really excited about this. So thanks to all of you for doing that. People, this kind of ties in a little bit to that map we saw. If you think about Fennemore, it's the culture, it's the glue, it's events like this that keep us together. How are we going to do this in this new world? We've got a lot of competition. It's going to be fierce. We've got people all over the place. You're probably thinking, how do we hold this together? I thought this going back to 2020, the beginning of the pandemic. Everyone goes remote. A lot of us are remote now. How do we possibly keep the firm in the same strong position it's been in? We've worked on it really hard. And I'm happy to say now that going through 2020, 2021, and 2022, we continued, even in this world, to be at the top when it comes to retention. We've kept our people. But we're not going to stop with that. We know it's only going to get more difficult. So, initiative number 3 we are launching right now are 3 new programs to build on our Elevate program. That's the associate and of counsel counterpart to our $1 Million Roadmap. Launch, Orbit, and Empower. What are these? Let's hear about 2 of them right now from Pamela Schockminster from our Oakland office. Pamela.
Thanks, James, and those lights are really bright. I'm, as James said, Pamela Mincer from the Oakland office. On behalf of everybody from all the Northern California offices, I hope you're having a phenomenal time in San Francisco. We love this city, and I hope you come to love it as much as we do. So as James said, we have a few new initiatives. Some of them are retooling initiatives that have been in progress, but this is to ensure that we continue to develop the level of excellence for attorneys that Fennemore is known for, to ensure that across all the offices, both brick and mortar and remote, that we are able to have attorneys who are really good at what they do, who have the skills and expertise to be called on by clients all over the world. So the first one is Launch. This is a program, an initiative for new associates. Think of it as associate onboardings on steroids. We're obviously going to be starting with the traditional onboarding with, computer, how to get into your computer, how to get into the building, how to put in your time, and the ever important HR meetings, benefits, retirement plans, things like that. So it starts with that. But then it goes a little deeper. We have workshops on firm culture and law firm basics, how to practice in a law firm. Launching your career. This is a start of a really exciting and important career. How to really be mindful about how to start your career. Law firm economics, something that we all do every day, but it's a good thing you don't learn this in law school. So law firm economics and deep dives into 3E, and including the bonus structure, how to motivate associates to be successful. Also, successful mentor and mentee relationships, how to get the most out of that. Ethics and conflicts, very important. Business development and marketing, and all of these with elements of team building. So that's for new associates. For the new directors, the new income directors, and the new income directors, and I'd like you guys to stand up. Will the new income directors stand up? Where are you guys? There you go. Congratulations. So we've already started this program, and it's called Orbit, which I think is behind my head back there. It starts with, and James has already done this, and it was great, firm governance and culture with a little bit of an overview of director compensation. The next thing, because directors open their own files, is how to do that, how to open your file. I mean, really, how do you open a file? Conflicts and ethics and gnarly conflict issues. Engagement letters and retainers, billing and editing your bills, as well as file closures and disengagement letters. Again, things you don't learn in law school that you need to keep the law firm running. Finance for directors and 3E for directors, and what do all those reports you're going to be receiving mean? What do they do? What can you get out of that? Again, as a new director, how to mentor, how to train associates, how to manage projects, and how to become a leader in the firm. Business development, and Lindsay will be helping me with that, and the tools and support that new directors have, as well as a very deep dive. We'll do a very deep dive into director compensation. Again, all with elements of team building and developing strong relationships within the firm. So that's it. Any questions? Come by and say hi.
All right, give it up for Pamela. There is a lot of research tied to onboarding. If you do that right, people are more productive, they stay at companies longer, so we're really thrilled to have Pamela leading that. Next, it's important that we learn from one another. And one of our combination partners, Wendell Rosen, was a leader when it comes to the green movement. Now, some of you may be saying, Fennemore Green, what is that? I just want to know, Fennemore Green does not mean Fennemore Ganja. I know some of you are thinking that. I'm not going to call you out. This is sustainability. Here to help us with this initiative is Todd Karchner. Give it up for Todd.
So Amazon, Apple, General Motors, Google, what do all these companies have in common? There's been a strong push for green initiatives. And when we look at this within our firm, I'll just head some concerns off right out of the gate. We've had people that have asked whether this is going to cause division or problems. And one of the things that I have always focused on here at the firm that is one of our greatest strengths is the fact that we as a firm find common ground. That despite the fact that there are so many political viewpoints and so many ways to come at things, we have a great respect for each other within this firm, and we have always found a way to come together and agree on things and find that common ground. And that's what we're doing here. And at the end of the day, if we're talking about reducing waste and making better use of our resources, I think these are things that we can all agree on are invaluable and something that is worth our while. So in looking at companies who have been adopting green measures, we've seen many of them have seen financial benefits, whether that comes in the form of cost reduction, tax incentives, and even increased business from clients. And to that last point, this is something that the attorneys at Wendell Rosen can attest to. They were a trailblazer in this category, and I've spoken to many of them about the uptick that they saw in clients who were became interested in working with them and giving them more business as a result of this focus and these efforts. So I've been in touch with Don Simon, who was leading those efforts at Wendell Rosen prior to his departure. And he's still very willing to help out and to assist. I've also been glad to hear that a number of attorneys and staff members have reached out to me, both with ideas about things that we can look at, as well as volunteering their services, their time to this cause. So I was really glad to hear that. I'm looking forward to proceeding. We've done our homework. And in the coming year, there's some things that we're going to be looking at. We're going to not only keep you updated, but we're going to be talking to you all frequently because we're going to be eliciting input from you about some of these things that we're going to be looking at. And so I'm going to be talking to many of you one-on-one as well as in large groups. But very excited about this. And as James mentioned, the world is changing, but as innovators, we need to stay a step ahead of things and So we're going to follow our new partners from Wendell Rosen in that capacity and follow suit there. So thanks.
All right. You can't have a Back to the Future themed retreat without talking about the gentlemen on your screen, Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox, obviously key characters in the trilogy. Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox met on the stage of Back to the Future in 1984. Didn't know each other before then. They were coworkers. But over the course of the years ahead and the movies they did together, they became more than coworkers. They became friends. Michael J. Fox is someone who's been through a lot of change. And he took that relationship that he built with Christopher Lloyd far beyond work. And it got me thinking, we're coworkers. Look around this room. A lot of people we don't know very well. My hope is that the relationships we build this weekend and when we leave the palace and we go into matters will extend beyond work, the deals we do, the trials we're on. I hope that you build connections that will lead us to go through life's milestones together. The births, the celebrations, and the hardest moments. Last week, we lost one of our own. Karen Balderrama was a partner in the Oakland office, and she lost her battle with cancer. She survived by her husband and 8-year-old daughter. What we do, if we do it right, is bigger than work. It's bigger than work. These are our lives. When I think about the question of what fuels you, I know there are lots of different answers out there, and good ones, valid ones. But I'm confident, I know with everything in me, that part of that is relationships. That when we go through change and the hardest times, we have one another to lean on, to support others, to give us the hugs. And I'm confident that if we keep that as the focus as we go through change, we're going to go to great places. And the sky really is the limit as we go into the future. Thanks, everyone.